Hey everyone. I think I'm on live everywhere. All right. Hey everybody. Good evening. Good evening. I wanted to come on live, talk just not for very long. No, not for very long. I'm not spending hours on tonight. But I wanted to talk about the inauguration, and immigration was certainly mentioned. So I wanted to talk to you all about that and give you some what I think is super helpful information about what's happening or what's going to happen or what was said, and that sort of thing. So if you don't know, if you've never gone live with me before, I'm Carol Williams. I'm an immigration attorney at Williams Immigration, and I am also a former USCIS Adjudications Officer. So that's really one of the value adds that I bring to my client, is that I know how the agency thinks. Even across different presidents. It's a big agency, but they kind of all think the same internally. So we had the new president talked about some of his priorities. As we know, some of them absolutely were about immigration, so that wasn't a surprise. He has declared a national emergency at our southern border. He is going to deploy U.S. military to our southern border. He is also ending what he calls catch and release, which is allowing individuals that are undocumented to remain in the U.S. while their immigration cases are processed. So if someone has crossed the border and they are undocumented, usually they are allowed to stay in the U.S. while their case is pending. Gives them an opportunity to file their case. They stay in the U.S. He is ending that. He has also stated that he's going to reinstate remain in Mexico. And that is for people that are applying for asylum that are, again, coming up through the southern border. And so basically remain in for their applications. And he is designating cartels, drug cartels, as foreign terrorist organizations. And so that will, I believe his priority for that is doing that makes it easier, I believe legally, to place into deportation proceedings individuals that are accused of being part of the cartels. So that is really what came out of his inauguration speech earlier today. Right around noon is when he spoke, right around there. So again, that's not that it wasn't anything that was incredibly new. It wasn't anything that we weren't thinking would happen. But now he has said it. Now he is president again. So now we have a very clear kind of path as to what his priorities are. There was some talk that there would be executive orders signed today, not just about immigration, but about other things as well, other topics, that would impact other federal agencies. Haven't seen those yet. I have been checking the White House website for all day to look for those executive orders. I will continue to check those, to see what's happening with the executive orders when it comes to those executive orders that specifically are about immigration. But I wanted to come on and tell y'all that and see if y'all had any questions that you wanted me to answer, because I am happy to do that. I know I've been getting some emails, some DMs, so I wanted to see if people had questions. One, just about immigration in general, or two, about what was said during the inauguration speech by the current president, and whether y'all have questions about whether what he said may impact your current case. And so I'm not going to be on very long this evening, so if y'all have questions, you can feel free to put them in the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. If you don't have questions, that is also okay. I will be going live more often to make sure that you all feel like you have the information that you need, and so that kind of move forward with your immigration case. But I will say, if you have an avenue, if you have a case that can be filed, you should do it now. You should absolutely do it now, because it was either the first or the second thing that he really mentioned in his inauguration speech, when he kind of outlined his priorities. Immigration was really, frankly, either one or, I can't quite remember, I took notes, but it was really either one or two that he mentioned. So he ran on a platform related to immigration. And, I think if we look at his last administration, he's not going to back down from that. That's something that he is very passionate about, and he is also very enforcement minded. So you want to keep that top of mind. So if you have an avenue, let's say you're married, let's say you entered lawfully, you've overstayed your time, but now you're married to a U.S. citizen, and you and your spouse have just been kind of putting it off, applying for a green card. The time for putting it off has now ended. To be quite honest with you. Someone has asked, hello, are people with final deportation at risk? If you have a final deportation order, listen, I don't have a crystal ball, right? But I would say that you are probably at risk. I would say that, it is a possibility that immigration will affirmatively come look for folks that have final deportation orders. We're not even a full 24 hours into this new administration. But that is something that I can absolutely see happening. There have been sort of rumored where, large cities are going to be, they're going to kind of be the where this current administration starts, when it looks for people that are here in the country, or goes after people that are here in the country without status who are undocumented. So, large cities are certainly at risk. Folks that are in large cities. And so that is why I say, if you have an avenue to apply for status to be here, then you should do it. You should absolutely do that, and do that now. Hold on, y'all know. For those of you that follow me often, I'm a slow scroller. Let me see here. Thank you for the glitter badges. I appreciate that. What do we got here? Is G639 good to request an entire file from USCIS? I don't know. If that is the FOIA form, then the answer is yes. If that is not the FOIA form, then the answer is no. You can actually request your entire file. You can do that online. So you don't have to use a specific form. There is a form. I do not remember the specific numbers or letters on the form. But if that is the FOIA, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, if that is the FOIA form, then yes, you can certainly use that form. But you can also just go online to the agency and request a copy of your file. And anyone can do that. Anyone can go online and request a full copy of their file from USCIS. Hold on one second. Someone is asking. All right. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, if you are an employer, right? Something that's not often really ever, I'm going to go with ever, at least said in the media, is if you are an employer, the media really focuses on the raids, right? We know there's probably going to be an uptick in raids to companies, right? That's what I mean when I say they're going to be targeting, probably larger cities, right? They're going to be targeting larger cities. They're going to be going after companies where they think there's like a high concentration of foreign nationals who are employed there. So if you are an employer, or if you sit in HR, or you are a manager, right, or your job is to do the onboarding, you want to make sure that your company's I-9s are up to date and that you are in compliance with the I-9 rules. If you're an employer and your first thought is, I don't know what an I-9 is, and you have employees, then you have an I-9 problem. You have an I-9 compliance problem. If your second thought is, I have some I-9s, but I'm not quite sure if they're up to date, right? Not quite sure about that. Then you probably have an I-9 problem, right? So you want to make sure that your I-9s are up to date. If you don't know how to do that, reach out to someone who can help you. You can reach out to an immigration lawyer that handles I-9s. You can reach out to an employment lawyer that handles I-9s. My office certainly helps with I-9s, but you want to make sure that your I-9s are in tip-top shape, because when a raid happens, oftentimes as part of that raid, the Immigration Service conducts an I-9 audit. And that I-9 audit is not conducted the day of the raid. You're just handed paperwork that essentially is telling you that they're going to do an I-9 audit, and they want to see your I-9s. So you want to make sure that as an employer that your I-9s are in good standing. Okay. What else do we have here? Not seeing a ton of other questions. And y'all should know, my practices generally, I work with employers, I work with startup founders, I work with folks who have businesses, they're coming in, they're hiring people that are not U.S. citizens. So my firm makes sure that all of the employees have the right work authorization, as well as their family members that are coming with them, spouse and dependent children. And I also work on the family side of immigration and helping families stay together or reunite. So it's usually going to be a U.S. citizen that is trying to get a green card for their fiance, their spouse, their dependent children, or their aging parents. So if you fall within that category, and I also tend to, my cases are somewhat complicated. So if you think your case is, kind of complicated, or frankly, even if you think your case is easy, because sometimes cases that you think are super, super easy are not, and they wind up having lots of twists and turns in them. And so you want to, have someone on your side that can help you through that. Marcus is asking, what does it mean if USCIS takes your biometrics and medical for your 485? Well, your biometrics are required, so they're going to take your biometrics unless they already have biometrics on file for you. And then sometimes you'll get a notice that says that they don't need to get new biometrics. And biometrics, by the way, are fingerprints and photograph. So if they're taking your biometrics and everybody has to submit a medical, that is part of the application. Now, if they are specifically asking for it, they have sent you a request for further evidence specifically asking for those things, that means that your file is no longer on a shelf somewhere and someone's actually working on your file. So I always call that a win. So that's really what that means. It means that someone has taken your file off a shelf and they're actively looking at it, and they have seen that you need your biometrics done if those haven't already been done, and or you need to have your medical submitted. For some cases that were recently, I can't remember, maybe December-ish, USCIS then changed the rules and then required, I guess went back to requiring the medical be filed at the time of filing of the 45. But if your 45 was filed before that requirement, they may just be going through files and asking you to get those together and send them in, so that when they take your file off the shelf, give it to an officer, the officer should have ideally everything that they need to file it. So I always think it's a good thing, right? When they start asking me for stuff, I think it's a good thing, because it means that somebody actually has their hands on a file, and they're actively looking at it, which is great. That's how I choose to look at it. What else do we have? They took Yeah, if they've already taken your biometrics for your work permit, they may not need them again, but that's going to be completely up to them. That's going to be what I call a game time decision on their end. My EAD under CO8 got approved, but I haven't received it yet. Can this administration still cancel? I think you're asking if they can now just sort of cancel your EAD. I don't know why they would. If it's already been approved, it's probably like once they approve it, they then send it to be printed. So it could just be that your card just hasn't been printed yet. I'm not quite sure why they would sort of revoke the approval. Typically, if they're going to revoke an approval of something, they're going to send you correspondence that says we're going to revoke this approval. So if you don't get correspondence saying that they're going to revoke the approval, I would just assume that it is being, your card is just in the process of being printed. And sometimes that printing process takes a little bit. So I wouldn't automatically jump to the conclusion that they are going to take back your EAD. If it's been approved and you have the approval notice, just not the card, that is very, very common. Usually I get my approval notices before I get the physical cards into the office, or my client gets the physical card to their address. What other questions do y'all have? Because y'all know when I come on live at night, it's usually before I have dinner. So, I'm always happy to let you guys go if you don't have any more questions, and then I will go get some dinner, and then I will be back later to go live with y'all. Let me just make sure that we don't have any questions brewing over on LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn. We are live tonight on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook page. So those are all places where you can reach me, and you can DM on any of those platforms. You can send us an email, you can call us. I'm at USA Visa Guru on all of these platforms. So in that sense, it's super easy to find me. Let me see here. Mama Mia, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in quite some time. I hope you are well. Thanks for hanging out for a little bit tonight. What else do we have? Does the work permit save you from any deportation? A work permit is not going to save you from being deported. So this is actually a great question. So a lot of folks believe that if you've received your green card, right, that you can't be deported. That is false. That is 110% false. Being a green card holder, being a lawful permanent resident, does not shield you from deportation. If you have an active 485 filed, you have an active green card case filed, and something happens in your life, let's say you get picked up for a crime, you commit a crime, what have you, you can still get arrested, you can still be charged with a crime. When immigration finds out about that, notice I didn't say if, I said when. Immigration and law enforcement very much talk to one another. So when immigration finds out about that, depending on what that is, right, depending on what the issue is, that could in fact negatively impact your green card application. So just because they have issued you work authorization does not shield you from being placed into deportation proceedings. So I'm glad that you asked that question. If you are a U.S. citizen, if you are a naturalized U.S. citizen, and just going to state this. If there was no fraud in anything that you did before becoming a U.S. citizen, so there was no fraud when you entered, there was no fraud if you were in non-immigrant status, if there was no fraud when you applied for a green card application and then you became a U.S. citizen, right? So if there's no issues in any of your applications leading up to being a citizen, being a U.S. citizen is what shields you from being deported. So it is not a situation where you can get your green card and then just do whatever you want, right? The Immigration Service can still place you into deportation proceedings if you are not following the rules, if you are a green card holder. So everyone should keep that in mind. If you are a green card holder and you want to apply for your citizenship, I would highly recommend that you do that. If you are here and you have if you're here, meaning in the US, on US soil, and you have an avenue to apply for your green card, then I would say go ahead and do that sooner rather than later. Go ahead and do that now. Because you want to have something that's being processed. You want to have something in the system. You want to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps closer to getting your green card in your hands. And listen, I'm gonna tell you, these processing times, they're not for the faint of heart, right? So immigration is a lot of hurry up and wait. There are, I predict we're gonna have more backlogs. And so you want to get your place in line. You want to start that process. What other questions do we have? What other questions do we have? Josh has asked, my asylum case is terminated by a judge with prejudice. May I get deported without another process? Josh, my office doesn't really handle asylum cases, so that's a super detailed question, which actually it's kind of a general question. But my office doesn't handle this, so I don't actually have an answer for you. If you're looking for an attorney to help you with that, I know several attorneys that handle asylum cases. You are welcome to send me a DM. I am happy to give you the names of a few attorneys that handle asylum cases. What else do we have? All right, let me see if we got any more questions. If not, then I'm gonna go get myself some dinner. All right, y'all, this has been fabulous. I will be going live more, but I wanted to definitely come live today and just give you really kind of a quick summary of what President Trump said during his inaugural speech today, what his immigration priorities are looking like. And again, I've been checking the White House website pretty often today. I have not seen uploads of any of the signed executive orders. When they are uploaded, I will be talking about them with you, so stay tuned. I am USA Visa Guru on all of my platforms. So that's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as well as YouTube. So if you have any questions about your immigration case, you're looking to file an immigration case, not quite sure where to start, my office is happy to help you. And have a great rest of your Monday. I usually go live Monday mornings, but this time I went live tonight because of the inauguration. So really have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your week. I will see you again back here later on this week. Talk to you soon all. Bye.